Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Monday, February the 14th. Valentine's Day, 9-game Monday slate. As always, guys, we're going to talk through each one of these 9 games. We're going to break down each team, give my thoughts, talk through this slate, what stands out to me from each team, giving a first look at the slate on Sunday night. And then as we do go through each game, we'll build out an early core. We'll talk about 5 players that I do specifically like on both DraftKings and on Yahoo at first look. But before we get started with the breakdown, please, as always, hit the like button down below. I do always appreciate the likes. And if you are new to the channel here, make sure you click that subscribe button as well. Also, if you have not yet, go check out the sponsor of this video, PrizePicks. So, PrizePicks is a player prop-based DFS site where you're just picking the over or the under on players' projections. It's a little bit different than DraftKings and FanDuel and Yahoo. You're not necessarily, building on a lineup, competing against other players. It's just you versus the projection. So, you can take a look at their board for NBA on Monday night. You can see all the projections they already have posted. They have point projections, rebounds, assists, point, rebounds, assists added up together. They have three-pointers made, and they also have fantasy point projections as well. They're getting there. They got their fantasy point projections out a little bit earlier than normal. You can take a look at their fantasy point projections, take a look at their entire board. Again, you're just picking over or under if you have a lean one way or the other. You can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. If you guys have not signed up for PrizePicks yet, what are you doing, man? Get over there, sign up, use code NOAH, and they'll match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And if you guys do want my favorite plays on PrizePicks each day, along with the entries I'm playing myself, I do give those out on Patreon. So if you are a Patreon member, you'll get access to all of my updated DFS content, along with my PrizePicks plays that I give out each day. But yeah, guys, let's take a look at Monday's 9-game slate. We're going to start off with the Pistons and Wizards game. Looking at the Pistons today, there is not much I really like from this Pistons team. They're pretty much fully healthy now. They got Cade Cunningham back. They got Marvin Bagley now, who could potentially be in the rotation. We don't really know, but I just really don't see much from the Pistons. They're a team I usually don't target, especially on big slates, and on a 9-game slate with so many other teams to go to, I just don't want to be betting on a team that, is just not good in general, could get blown out here. You could always play Cade Cunningham, you could always play a guy like Jeremy Grant, but there's really not much that stands out from Detroit today. Not much I like from this team. Maybe, keep an eye on the starting lineup. I don't think this would happen. I doubt it would, but, by some chance, if they decide to start Marvin Bagley in his debut, he would be a pretty good value play. I don't really know how many minutes Marvin Bagley is going to get on a nightly basis with the Pistons, but if they decide to give him minutes right out of the gate, if they start him, I would like him quite a bit, but I really don't think that's going to happen just because I think Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant, those are going to be the 3s and the 4s. They're not going to start Bagley probably, but yeah, just not much I think stands out here. If you want to throw some shots on Cade or Jeremy Grant in tournaments, I don't hate it, but don't really like much from Detroit. Now on the Wizards side, there's a little bit more I like here. Kyle Kuzma has been really, really good as of late. He's been playing big minutes. He's basically been the #1 guy on this team. With Kristaps Porzingis still not ready to play, with Spencer Dinwiddie no longer on the team. This is basically like Kyle Kuzma's team right now. Bradley Beal's obviously still out, so Kuzma's role is going to be really good. He's going to play a ton of minutes if it's a close game against Detroit, a pretty bad team. This game should stay close. We should get 35 to 38 minutes from Kuzma. He has shown triple-double upside these last few games. He's been contributing in all categories. Had a triple-double against Brooklyn. Last game only needed 2 rebounds and 3 assists for another triple-double. Like 8,600, it's a lot to pay for Kuzma, but with just how good his role is right now, I still think he's a pretty solid pay-up option. Thomas Bryant should continue to start at center. He's probably going to get around 20 to 24 minutes, somewhere in that range. Bryant has been pretty productive the last 2 games that he's gotten minutes in. The minutes haven't been as high as I would like. Like, even with Daniel Gafford out, and even with Montrezl Harrell no longer on the team, we haven't seen, Bryant play big minutes, but he's been really productive. If he does by some chance get more minutes than we really expect him to, he could blow this price out of the water. But until we see Bryant play more than 22, 24 minutes, it's tough to go to him. Raul Neto at 4,400, I don't mind, but his price has come up enough. And on a 9-game slate, I don't think he stands out as a top value play today. But he should get 28 to 30 minutes. He's going to remain the starting point guard while Bradley Beal's out. Ish Smith is now on the team, and I think Ish Smith will get a good amount of minutes each night. He played 20 minutes in his debut with the Wizards, but I still think Neto is going to be the guy that gets most of the point guard minutes. So as a value play, don't mind him. KCP, another cheap option that you could go to. He probably plays around 30 to 32 minutes. KCP is never a guy that offers a ton of upside. We'll have to wait and see what kind of value opens up as the day goes on. If we really don't get any value during the day, I could see going to a guy like KCP just for the minutes and the cheap price point. He's definitely viable. And that's probably it from the Wizards. Like Denny Avia, Corey Kispert, if you want to throw some darts on these guys, I don't hate it. Denny Avia, could play 30 to 32 minutes. He's been getting good minutes off the bench lately. The Wizards still do have a good amount of guys they will play off the bench. They're going to give minutes to Rui, to Ish, we've seen Anthony Gill get more minutes lately. But I still think Denny plays around 30 minutes off the bench. Don't hate him. But I think that's it for the Wizards. Really, Kuzma's the guy I think stands out here the most. And then if you want to go to like Thomas Bryant, Raul Neto, KCP, I think those guys are okay values. But at their price points, with them being priced up a little bit, none of them are like glaring values on this slate. Next game, though, Sacramento and Brooklyn. So this is a really good game to target. This should be a really fast-paced, high-scoring game. On the Sacramento side, you got Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox, who I think both look like solid plays here. Now, Sabonis in his 2 games so far with Sacramento, I mean, he hasn't been like amazing. 48 DK points in 33 minutes against Minnesota, and then 40 DK points in 34 minutes last game against the Wizards. His minutes haven't been as high as I would like. We saw with Indiana, like some nights Sabonis was playing 38 to 40 minutes. So far with the Kings, he's been getting around 33, 34. At 9,700, I think Sabonis is probably priced where he should be, but in this matchup against Brooklyn, a really good spot. Brooklyn's never been good defensively against bigs. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sabonis put up a big game here. Wish he was a little bit cheaper, but I still think he's playable. De'Aaron Fox, though, I do like quite a bit. So De'Aaron Fox so far in these 2 games, with Sabonis and with Halliburton no longer on the team, we've seen Fox play really well. 46 DK points against Minnesota. Wasn't as good last game against Washington, only 33 DK points in 38 minutes, but the minutes have been there. He's been playing huge minutes. The shot attempts have been there as well. Like his usage has been way up. At least 20 shot attempts now in 3 straight games. Basically, these 3 games without Halliburton, we've seen Fox put up at least 20 shots in each game. His assists should be, they should be up without Halliburton. With Sabonis now on the team, I think maybe he doesn't get as high of an assist rate as we would like, because obviously Sabonis is a guy that is going to have the ball in his hands a good amount. They can run the offense through Sabonis. We've seen Sabonis have a lot of high assist games, but I still think with the usage that Fox should be getting without Halliburton in a good matchup against Brooklyn and what should be a fast-paced game. De'Aaron Fox is a guy that I do like a good amount on this slate. 8,200 on DraftKings. I think you can definitely play him at this price point. And on Yahoo, I do like him over on Yahoo. If you want to play him over there, $32. I think De'Aaron Fox firmly in play on Yahoo as well. The rest of Sacramento, though, I'm not too excited about. Harrison Barnes, 6,700. I think is priced where he probably should be, if not a little bit overpriced right now. Davion Mitchell, he's probably going to play like mid to high 20s minutes off the bench, but at 5,300, he doesn't really stand out. Justin Holiday, Mo Harkless, Metu, like none of these guys are that appealing. I think Fox and Sabonis are the 2 guys that really stand out. Dante DiVincenzo did make his debut last game with Sacramento. He only played 19 minutes though, so he's going to be a tough guy to go to. You would think like maybe DiVincenzo will play more moving forward with Sacramento. He wasn't really getting a ton of minutes with Milwaukee. He was playing like low 20s minutes each night. Maybe he has a better role with Sacramento. We'll kind of have to wait and see. After his first game, though, only playing 19 minutes. Just a wait and see for me with DiVincenzo. But yeah, that's it for Sacramento. On the Brooklyn side, so Brooklyn going to be really shorthanded here, basically without all their stars. No KD. Kyrie's out, because this is a home game. Ben Simmons still out, and obviously James Harden no longer on the team. So no KD, no Kyrie, no Harden, no Ben Simmons. I mean, we don't really know what this Brooklyn offense is going to look like. They are getting Seth Curry and Andre Drummond for this game. They both, obviously were recently traded from Philly to Brooklyn, and they will be available to play. I am guessing that I am assuming that Seth Curry will start right out of the gate. And I think Seth Curry, especially without Kyrie, like he should get a lot of opportunity in his Brooklyn debut. Not to mention the matchup's really good. The price tag's not that bad either. He's 5,400, which I think is definitely affordable. It's going to be tough to predict like what the usage looks like for Brooklyn, especially with Kyrie out right now. Like you would think Seth Curry is going to get a lot of opportunity. Cam Thomas should get a lot of opportunity. Patty Mills should get plenty of opportunity as well. All these guys should benefit while Kyrie's out, while KD's out, while Simmons is out. I think Seth Curry, though, at 5,400, we've seen Seth Curry show a lot of upside. He's a good shooter. He's a guy that can handle the ball as well. They could maybe start him at point guard here. We could see him, have the ball in his hands a lot. I think 5,400. I like Seth Curry quite a bit on this slate. I think on Yahoo you can play him over there as well at $17 at his shooting guard position. He should get a lot of opportunity right out of the gate for Brooklyn is here with Kyrie out. So definitely like Seth Curry. I think Cam Thomas, whether he starts or comes off the bench, should play pretty big minutes. We've seen him be really productive lately, and without Kyrie, you would think the production for Cam Thomas should definitely be there. 5,700 price tags come up a little bit, but I still think Cam Thomas is in play. Don't know yet about Andre Drummond. It's going to be tough to really gauge how many minutes Drummond plays for Brooklyn, given they have LaMarcus Aldridge, Nicholas Claxton, Blake Griffin. All those guys are going to be available to play today. I think for me, when it comes to Andre Drummond, it's going to depend on the starting lineup. If he does not start, I don't think I'd be going there because at that point, I just don't know if we can expect him to play a ton of minutes. But if they start Drummond right out of the gate, that makes me assume that Drummond's like their starting center. And if that's the case, 5,500 for Drummond, if he winds up starting, he's going to be a really good play. Aldridge and Claxton and Griffin, like I think with Drummond now in the mix, that really cuts down the minute ceiling for all these guys. Like I think it's really unlikely that LaMarcus Aldridge plays 32, 34 minutes just because now they have Drummond, now they have Claxton. Like they're going to give these guys minutes. It could be like a three-headed committee at center for Brooklyn. I don't think they're going to play Drummond alongside Aldridge or Aldridge alongside Claxton. Like those are going to be the three guys that kind of split the center minutes. So it's really a tough situation to kind of gauge. Starting lineup will be important. If Aldridge starts, I guess he's okay, but overall, I'm not too excited about any of the Brooklyn bigs unless Drummond starts. Then if Drummond starts, I'd be pretty excited. Patty Mills, though, is a value play, 4,800. Without Kyrie, with KD out, with Simmons out, no longer, Harden no longer on the team. I mean, I think Patty Mills should get a lot of opportunity here. How is he going to play alongside Seth Curry? Is his usage going to go down with Seth Curry now in the lineup? Maybe. But I still think at 4,800 in a good matchup, we should still get big minutes from Patty Mills here. He's definitely in play for value. And that's probably it from Brooklyn. I know Bruce Brown had a really big game last game, played 26 minutes. His minutes have been too tough to predict, so I don't really think I'd go to him. But he did start last game. If he winds up starting again, then maybe you could go there as a value play. But I think most likely the starting lineup for Brooklyn will be Patty Mills, Seth Curry, probably one of the bigs, whether it be Drummond, Aldridge, or Claxton. You would have to think that probably like James Johnson starts if he's able to play. He's been starting lately. And then, who starts at the three? Maybe Bruce Brown again. So starting lineup will be important for Brooklyn. They're getting some new pieces today, so we'll have to see how those guys are kind of implemented. But this is definitely going to be a Brooklyn team we want to target because they are shorthanded, and it is a really good matchup in Sacramento. Definitely going to be a lot to like from the Nets. Next game, though, OKC in New York. This is one that I'm just really not excited about. Two slow-paced teams. On the OKC side, I mean, Lou Dort at 6,200, I don't mind. If this game does stay close, Lou Dort should play pretty big minutes, and he's been really productive these last few games without SGA. His usage has been up. He's been taking a lot of shots. He's my favorite play from OKC if I had to go to anyone here. I'm not too excited about any other Thunder guys, though, just because we know the Thunder, they're a bad team. They get blown out a lot. They run a deep rotation. Lou Dort, I think, is in play. That's probably it from OKC. And then on the New York side, looking at the Knicks, so Julius Randle, I do like a little bit here. Against OKC, pretty good matchup. I mean, he should be able to dominate, and with how bad this Knicks team is, like I don't think we have to worry about blowout as much here, even against OKC. Like I don't know if the Knicks are good enough to blow out OKC, to be honest with you. If they do blow out OKC, it's probably going to be because Julius Randle is having a massive game. And if this game stays close, like we know Julius Randle's playing huge minutes. He's been really, really good lately. He's been playing big minutes, been stuffing the stat sheet. I think Julius Randle looks like a pretty good option from this Knicks team. His usage should continue to be sky high with RJ Barrett out. And then with RJ Barrett out, that does open up more minutes for guys like Alec Burks, Kemba could play more, Quickly could play more. Last game we actually did see Kemba play decent, 26 minutes, 29 DK points. Maybe without RJ Barrett, that opens the door for Kemba to get more opportunity. I don't mind him as a value at 4,300. Alec Burks didn't play as much as I thought he would with Barrett out last game, only 21 minutes. But you would think he probably sees some more run. The bigs, Mitchell Robinson, I believe, is questionable, along with, I think Nerlens Noel is questionable as well. So this will be something to monitor. If Robinson and Noel are both out, we would probably get Taj Gibson starting at center. Taj Gibson's not a great point-per-minute player, but he's only 3,100. If he starts, he probably would play around 30 minutes. And he's so cheap that he would definitely be a viable option. But that's really it from the Knicks. I think Julius Randle is the guy that definitely stands out here. The rest of New York, I'm not as excited about. I think Kemba's fine, but Randle's the guy that really stands out from the Knicks today. Next game though, San Antonio and Chicago. So on the Spurs, Dejounte Murray, he's been absolutely balling lately. The price tag is way up there though at 11K. Murray's now I think priced to a point where he's still in play for me, but I don't think he's like a glaring pay-up option. You're really going to need a massive game from Murray to justify this price point. I think without Derek White, with him no longer on the team, I mean, the upside is definitely there for Dejounte Murray because he's going to play massive minutes if it's a close game. He's going to take a ton of shots. We know he's going to contribute, with rebounds and assists as well. Still think he's in play. I'm just not as excited about him now at 11K price point. Jakob Poeltl at 7K. I mean, they're going to need him out there against Vooch. He probably plays like 30 to 32 minutes. At 7K, though, I think another guy that's kind of priced where he should be. The one guy that I do like from San Antonio is Devin Vassell. So we've seen Devin Vassell really step up and play big minutes these last few games without Derek White. And I think with Derek White no longer on the team, Devin Vassell is basically going to be a starter. He's going to play 30 minutes a night. Last 2 games without Derek White, he's played 28 and 31 minutes and has scored 33 and 30 DK points. I believe the game before that against Cleveland, he started that game as well, if I remember correctly. 28 minutes, 31 DK points for Vassell. Like, he's just been really, really good. Been playing big minutes, been producing at a good rate. He's been averaging about a fantasy point per minute. Price tag has come up a little bit at 5,200, but right now I think Vassell does look like a decent value play if you want to consider him a value. Fairly cheap on DraftKings, only 5,200. Fairly cheap on Yahoo as well over there. If you want to play him on Yahoo at small forward, $19. I definitely like Vassell once again. With the minutes he's getting right now without Derek White, with how good he's been on a point per minute basis, he does still stand out to me as a pretty solid play. And that's probably it from San Antonio. I'm not too excited about anyone else here. I think Murray, Pirtle, Vassell, those are the guys I'd really be looking to. And then on the Chicago side, looking at the Bulls, so no Zach LaVine for Chicago today, and they're still without Lonzo. They're still without Alex Caruso, and I believe Javonte Green is questionable as well. So that'll be something to monitor. But with no LaVine, with no Ball, with no Caruso, I mean, we really know where the usage is going right now. It's DeRozan, it's Vooch. Those are the 2 guys that are playing big minutes, that are producing at a high rate. And we've seen DeRozan just be absurd as of late. I mean, he's playing like 36 to 40 minutes a night. He's been taking a ton of shots every single night, 24, 25 shots a game. Been getting rebounds, been getting assists. Like, he's just been a stat sheet stuffer. I know the price tag has come up a little bit to 10,200, but without Zach LaVine in a pretty good matchup against San Antonio, who's been playing at a fast pace this year, I think it's a really good spot for DeMar DeRozan. His upside without LaVine is definitely there. I don't mind paying this price tag for him. I definitely like DeRozan as one of the better pay-up options on this slate, and on Yahoo at $45 at power forward. I think he's one of the better power forward plays on Yahoo if you can fit him in up at the top. Vooch I like quite a bit as well. We know Vooch upside, it goes way up whenever LaVine's off the floor. Normally I don't really go out of my way to play these Chicago guys, but when one of the key guys is out, then it becomes a situation to attack. So with LaVine out, we want to go to Vooch, we want to go to DeRozan. They're not priced up. They're priced up a decent amount, but I don't think they're priced up enough to where they're like unplayable. I still think these guys have 55, 60 plus point upside and can still be worth their price tags. So I like Vooch and DeRozan quite a bit. Kobe White and Ayo, I don't mind either. These guys are just getting huge minutes as well. 37 minutes last game for Kobe White. We saw Ayo play 42 minutes in regulation. I think I would limit how many Bulls I play. Like, I don't think I would play DeRozan, Vooch, White, Ayo all in the same lineup, because I think at that point you're really kind of capping your ceiling. But between those 4 guys, if you want to play like 2 of them, I think that's fine. Whether you want to go DeRozan, Ayo, DeRozan, White, Vooch, White, Vooch, DeRozan, I guess you could do. There's definitely going to be some guys to target from the Bulls. I think those 4 are the 4 that we mainly want to target. And that's probably it from Chicago. I don't really think I'd be going to anyone else here. So we can move on to the next game, talk about Portland and Milwaukee. Looking at Portland today, Nurkic, Simons, these guys I think are still viable here. Their prices have come up a little bit. I do worry a little bit in this matchup against Milwaukee. I worry about some blowout risk. Portland right now, without Damian Lillard, they're not a very good team. They're going to probably get blown out a lot. But if this game does stay close, it's probably because, Nurkic, Simons, these guys are putting up big games. We've seen Nurkic offer a big ceiling. I think at this price point, really nobody's going to play him. So Nurkic should be very low owned. I don't hate him as a tournament option. Simons is another guy that offers a big ceiling. With Dame still out, with CJ not on the team anymore, I mean, Simons is going to get a ton of opportunity. You look at last game, 37 minutes for Simons, 23 shot attempts, had 50 DraftKings points. He's been a really good shooter this year. He's been a really efficient shooter. He's been a really good scorer. He's been contributing with rebounds and assists as well. He's been a really good fantasy asset overall. Now, the price tag's gotten up to a point where Simons doesn't stand out as like a slam dunk, free play or anything, but still viable in my opinion. We've seen the upside from Simons to be worth this price point. Matchup's really tough, but I think all these Portland guys should be fairly low owned. Josh Hart, kind of appealing. In his debut last game with Portland, he did play huge minutes. He played 37 minutes, did not do that well. Like he did score a bunch, but he didn't really get many rebounds or assists, which is kind of unlike Josh Hart. Like, he's a guy that we've seen get a ton of rebounds this year. I mean, the dude's average like almost 8 rebounds per game. He usually gets a couple assists as well. He scored a ton last game. He just didn't really get anything else outside of the 23 points he scored. But normally in those minutes that Josh Hart's going to play, he's going to do a little bit of everything. He'll score, he'll get some rebounds, he'll get some assists. I think it's 6,300. If we can expect Josh Hart to play the big minutes that he played in his debut, like 36, 37 minutes for Josh Hart, he has the upside to pay off his price tag. Now, again, the matchup against Milwaukee is not the best. There's a little bit of blowout risk here. But I think Josh Hart's still in play. The rest of Portland, Winslow, I think, is priced up to a point where he doesn't really stand out anymore. Same with Ellaby, same with McLemore. It's really just like Nurkic, Simons, and Hart as tournament plays. Hart's probably my favorite when you factor in his price point of all the Portland guys. But then moving on to the Milwaukee side, looking at the Bucks. So Giannis right now is probable. Keep an eye on this. We've seen Giannis be probable before and get ruled out, before the game starts, or get, downgraded to doubtful. But expecting Giannis to play today at 12K, I mean, he's really expensive, but we know Giannis has, massive amounts of upside. He has probably the most upside on this slate out of anyone. I don't think, or Jokic actually might be on the slate. Yeah, Denver is on the slate, but Giannis has just as much upside as anyone. Only issue or only concern, I guess, is that this is a game that does have a little bit of blowout risk. I think the spread right now is right now Portland's or Milwaukee's big favorites. I mean, they're favored by 15.5 right now, so that's my only concern. But if the game stays close and Giannis plays his full minutes, I mean, he could absolutely crush. Outside of Giannis, I'm not too excited about anyone else in Milwaukee. Drew and Middleton, Portis, like none of these guys stand out. There's price points. It's really just Giannis for me from the Bucks, and I think that's it. Pat Connaughton is out, so maybe you see Grayson Allen play a little bit more, but I think almost 5K. Like Grayson Allen doesn't really stand out either. So that's it for Milwaukee. We can move on to the next game, talk about Toronto and the Pelicans. So looking at Toronto, the 5 starters: Siakam, Van Vliet, Scotty Barnes, OG, Gary Trent, all viable. I will say the Siakam's price point starting to really get up there now. He's over 10K. But man, Siakam has just been so freaking good lately. Like, he's just playing an absurd amount of minutes every night. He's been stuffing the stat sheet, been putting up huge games every single night. Between like Siakam or DeRozan, I think I slightly lean DeRozan, but like Siakam, just with how good his role is right now, with how many minutes he's playing every night, I still think he's viable even at 10-1. I think Van Vliet, same thing could be said for him. He hasn't been as good as Siakam lately, but Van Vliet's still playing an absurd amount of minutes every night. Match against the Pelicans, I think, is pretty good. So yeah, I think Van Vliet's viable. Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent, OG, like, I don't think these guys are as good, but, they're still going to play big minutes if it's a close game. OG has been pretty disappointing lately, but his price tag's come way down to 6,400, so I think, getting on OG while he's this cheap, I think looks kind of appealing. We know OG still does have a big ceiling, and we know he will play big minutes if it's a close game. He might be my third favorite Raptor behind Siakam and behind Van Vliet. And that's really it from the Raptors. I don't really think I'd be going to any of the bench guys. It's just, the starters for me that stand out here. On the Pelican side, I don't see too much I like on the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram at 8,700 on this slate, 9 games with so many options. Like, Brandon Ingram doesn't really stand out. The last 2 games with CJ McCollum in the lineup, he's been really bad. CJ McCollum, I think, is definitely taking usage away from Brandon Ingram, and he's going to continue to do so. So it's really tough to consider Ingram a great play right now. CJ McCollum at 7,900. Like, I think he's viable. He's probably between Ingram or McCollum. Like, I think I'd take McCollum over Ingram, but really, I don't like either one of these Portland guys or these Pelicans guys where they're priced at. Jay Val, I've kind of been on lately. He just continues to disappoint. He's been really disappointing lately. I mean, if you look at the game log for Jay Val, he just hasn't been worth this price point. I mean, it's been like last time he scored over 50 DraftKings points was December the 8th. Like, it's not been good for Jay Val. He just hasn't really shown the massive upside that we've seen from him in the past. I still think Jay Val can put up a huge game any night, but he's more of a tournament option. He's just not playing that well. The minutes have also been not as high as we would like. But I think the upside's always still there for Jay Val, so he's a viable play. There's really not much, though, that stands out from the Pelicans. Like, I think Jay Val in tournaments is fine. I think CJ McCollum in tournaments is fine. And that's probably it from New Orleans. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about Orlando and Denver. So Orlando, not the best spot here going on the road against Denver. A little bit of blowout risk in this game. The Magic, I mean, they're kind of similar to the Pistons. Like, they're just a team that I really don't ever get excited to roster guys from. Cole Anthony always offers upside if the games can stay close, but with Jalen Suggs in the lineup, Cole Anthony hasn't really been as good this year. We've seen him have good games previously whenever Suggs is missed, but when Suggs is healthy, he takes away from Anthony, and that just makes both guys look not that appealing. Wendell Carter at 6,900, I don't really love. Mo Bamba hasn't been getting the minutes lately. Maybe against Jokic they play Bamba big minutes, but that's really tough to gauge. I mean, his minutes just haven't been there. I just really don't like much from Orlando, man. This is just not a team I really ever get excited to roster, and there's just they did run a tight rotation last game. I think they did run like an 8-man rotation, but still, I'm just not excited about mini Magic on a 9-game slate. And then on the Denver side, Jokic I think is the one guy that we can look to here. Jokic, every slate he's on is always going to be a great option. He didn't do that well against Orlando earlier this year, but we know in close games, Jokic is likely to put up 50-plus DK points, if not 60-plus. He's going to play huge minutes if it's a close game. I don't think Orlando really has anyone to stop Jokic. I always like Jokic, basically every slate he's on. Am I going to be trying to jam in Jokic on this slate? I don't think so. We'll have to wait and see what value opens up as the day goes on. But I think Jokic is obviously in play. The rest of Denver, I'm not really that excited about. Monte Morris, I think, is questionable once again. I mean, Bones Highland has been starting in place of Monte Morris, but he really hasn't been that good. Last 2 games he started, he's played 18 and 24 minutes, and it's only scored 13 and 21 DK points. I don't want to get too much. I don't want to look too much in a game log, but the minutes have not been that good for Bones, even though he's been starting. Campazzo played really well the other game off the bench, but last game, only 23 minutes for him. I'm just not excited about these Denver value guys. Jokic is the one guy that I think really stands out from Denver. That's probably it from the Nuggets. So the next 2 games, Houston and Utah will start off first. Houston starting off with Houston, another team that I'm just not excited about. Tough spot here on the road against the Jazz. A lot of blowout risk in this game, I should say. This game definitely could get ugly. We could see a blowout here. If the game stays close, I mean, a guy like Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr., both those guys offer upside. But at their price points, I don't think either one of them stand out. Tough matchup for Wood if Rudy Gobert plays. I will say that if Rudy Gobert does not play, it does become a much better spot for Christian Wood, but I still don't think he'd be a priority option for me. Same could be said for KPJ. Dennis Schroeder could maybe make his debut with the Rockets. We don't really know what Dennis Schroeder's role is going to be with this Rockets team, but I would think he's going to have a pretty big role. They don't really have a ton of other guys that are you would expect to take minutes away from Dennis Schroeder. I know Dennis Schroeder's kind of a little bit of an older guy. Do they really want to play him huge minutes? They're trying to develop some of these younger guys, but if Dennis Schroeder, if he winds up getting starters minutes, if he starts, I would like him quite a bit. I don't think he's going to start, but they can maybe. Yeah, I don't think he would start because they're not going to start him over KPJ. They're not going to start him over Jalen Green. So it's going to be tough to go to Schroeder if he's coming off the bench just because we don't really know how many minutes he's going to play in his debut. There's just not much I really like from Houston today. Then on the Utah side, it's a really good matchup for Utah here. Houston does play really fast. They're not that good of a defensive team. But this is just another team where the pricing just kind of looks accurate. Donovan Mitchell is 9,200. I think Donovan Mitchell's priced where he should be, even in a really good matchup like this. I'm a little bit worried about blowout risk. I think Mitchell can maybe see his minutes cut a little bit if this game does get ugly, which is possible. So I don't think Mitchell stands out as a top play today. Same with Conley and Bojan. If Rudy Gobert is out again, I definitely like the spot for Whiteside. Whiteside's minutes off the bench lately have been increasing. He did get 29 minutes against Golden State, got 27 minutes last game against Orlando. Even though he's not been starting, he has been playing more minutes than Azubuike has, who's been starting. So I would think if Rudy Gobert is out again, we probably see Whiteside play about 28 minutes, and we see Azubuike play 20. If Whiteside plays 28 minutes, I mean, he's kind of shown the ceiling that we know Whiteside has. Last 2 games, even in 29 minutes, 50 Draftkings points, 27 minutes, 44 DK points. That's the Whiteside that we are accustomed to. We know this guy can, smash. He can put up, fancy points per minute in a quick way. He can stuff the stat sheet. He can block shots. He can get rebounds. He can get putbacks. I think Whiteside would probably be my favorite play from Utah if Gobert is out. If Gobert plays, then I really just don't like much here because then I'd be off Whiteside and I'd really just be off everybody at that point. So that's really it from Utah. I think we can go ahead and talk about the last game of the night, the Warriors and the Clippers. So on the Warriors today, Steph Curry at 10,400. I don't mind him on this slate as a pay-up option. I would still put him behind a lot of guys that we've talked about. DeRozan, Vooch, Dejounte Murray, Jokic, Giannis. I would still put Curry behind all those guys. But Curry always does offer a big ceiling. We know he's going to play big minutes if it's a close game. He's gone nuts against the Clippers this year. And we've seen a lot of stars do really well against the Clippers. I don't know why, but Luka has crushed the Clippers this year. Through 2 games against the Clippers, Curry's averaged 63 DK points. I think the matchup's pretty good. I think scoring guards like Curry, like Luka, these guys can have a lot of success against this Clippers team. So I think Curry is a viable tournament play. Klay Thompson's been playing really well lately. His minutes have been slowly increasing. I think at 6,800 though, Klay's priced to a point where he doesn't really stand out anymore. Especially if he's going to play 30 minutes, which is good, but I don't know if that's good enough for almost 7K. You're going to need Klay to be really, really productive when he's out there, and we've seen him be really productive, even in 30 minutes, but on a 9-game slate, there's probably going to be other plays worth targeting, other guys to go to. Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, these guys don't really stand out, but I think there's one guy that does stand out, and that is Jonathan Kuminga. So Jonathan Kuminga has started the last 2 games, and he's been playing really well, and he's been playing good minutes. Played 36 minutes against the Knicks. Last game, he was in foul trouble. He had 5 fouls, only played 25 minutes, but he was still really productive. Had 30 DraftKings points in those 25 minutes. Steve Kerr, you never know what this dude's going to do with his rotations, but given that Kuminga has started the last 2 games, even with Otto Porter back last game, they played Otto Porter off the bench. He still played 24 minutes, but I think right now Kuminga has kind of the starter's role locked into himself. I'm expecting Kuminga to start once again. 4,600, if he does start, he probably plays around 30 minutes. We know Kuminga would play in a blowout as well. I don't think this game does blow out, but if by some chance Golden State blows them out, Kuminga would still be out there in a blowout. So I feel pretty good about Kuminga if he's starting. I think he will play around 30 minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble. And he's shown good upside when he does get minutes. So 4,600, I definitely like Kuminga as a value play at first look. He's really, really cheap on Yahoo, so if you want to play him over there, $12 at power forward definitely stands out as one of the better value plays on Yahoo as well. We'll have to pay attention to the Warriors starting lineup, but for now, I am expecting Kuminga to start once again, which does make him stand out as a pretty strong value play on both sides. And then on the Clippers side, looking at the Clippers real quick before we end the video, there really isn't much that stands out here. Norman Powell's going to be out for the Clippers, so that opens up a little bit more opportunity for guys like Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris. At their price points, I think they both have upside to pay off these price tags if the game stays close and if they play their full minutes. We've seen the Clippers' rotations just be really out of whack this year, but as of late, the minutes have been pretty secure for Reggie Jackson. He's played 33 of 40 minutes and has been really productive with 36 and 48 DraftKings points. We'll say that Eric Bledsoe is still out for the Clippers, I do believe. Let me see. Or he's questionable. Or, dude, what am I thinking? Eric Bledsoe's not on the freaking team anymore. I had a brain fart right there. But, they still got Terrence Mann. They still got Amir Coffey. But given the minutes that Reggie Jackson has seen the last two games, if those do continue, I would feel pretty good about Reggie Jackson. I'm never confident in the minutes for the Clippers guys, just with how Ty Lue runs the rotations. Last two games, the minutes have been good for Marcus Morris as well. Hasn't been super productive, but if you told me before the slate started that Marcus Morris was going to play 36, 37 minutes, I'd have interest in him. I just don't think that's a guarantee because they do have other guys off the bench that they can give minutes to, and we've seen Ty Lue play the bench guys big minutes, especially if they're playing well. But I think Norman Powell being out makes the minutes a little bit more secure for guys like Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris. They're definitely in play. They're viable on this slate. I think Terrence Mann is a value play. He should play more without Norman Powell. He probably gets over 30 minutes at 4,300. I think Terrence Mann's a guy we can look to for value. I really never get excited about the Clippers. They're a team I hate rostering, but with Norman Powell out, I think that does open up more minutes for Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, Terrence Mann. I think it does make these guys viable options. Terrence Mann's price point, I do like quite a bit. 4,300 for Terrence Mann. If he continues to play the big minutes that he's been getting, I think Terrence Mann is a pretty solid value play. But that's probably it from the Clippers. I don't think I'd be going to anyone else like Coffey or Hood or Batum. Robert Covington, so far with the Clippers, has not been great. He only played 12 minutes last game, 10 minutes the game before that. He's been coming off the bench, and his minutes have just not been that good. So, don't really have any interest in him. Maybe he would start with Powell out. If they do start Covington, I would definitely like him a lot more. We'll have to pay attention to that starting lineup for the Clippers. That'll be something to monitor. But that's really it for this team, and I think that's it for this 9-game Monday slate. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. Also, if you have not yet, go check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH when you do, and PrizePicks will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my code. You can take a look at what PrizePicks has to offer, make some picks for tonight's NBA games, take a look at all the other sports they offer. You could potentially win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. Just make sure when you sign up, use my code, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that's it for tonight's slate, guys. Best of luck. We will see you in the next video.